there are lots of food memories. I don't want to go back to food immediately. My name is Austin Shiner, and I am an administrator at Yale-NUS, formerly admissions, currently alumni and associated president's office duties. And I was a science kid growing up too. I hung out with the science and computer crowd. So I tried to do sciencey things and make it in science and compete with Dan Howard, who was a better science guy than I was and better at math than I was, and Andrew Schroeder was also better at math than I was, but I could hang with these guys if I worked hard. It so happens that most of the men in my extended family are organic chemists. A huge number of them. None of these people put any pressure on me to do science. But it just seemed like the thing that serious people did. You're at this sort of family reunion around the holiday time, and dinner table conversations verge towards ketones. But I show up at Yale as a prospective chemistry major, and that ended quickly. Compared to these other people, I was neither interested in nor good at chemistry. And you have to be at least one of the two. You have to either love it or be good at it. And if you're neither, then get out. And that's what I did. And I filled it with history, which is a better fit. I think it was my 4th birthday, and we visited Sushi Zanmai in Boulder for the first time. And it was my first moment through food thinking that who are these people who create this extraordinary food? What is Japan? And how is it that they came up with this? And it just snowballed there. I meditate on the question of what my favorite food might be if I had to pick and choose and limit myself. And it's a stressful exercise because I don't like the idea of limiting and selecting only one or a couple. I stand up for poaching, braising, guanciale, and I guess cheese too, in a big way. In a big way. Yeah, well, so how did I come to Yale-NUS? Lorimer offered me a job working in New Haven on Yale-NUS. That didn't sound quite right to me. Yale-NUS sounded perfect. So all I had to do is I said, this undertaking sounds incredible. Could you find a way for me to move to Singapore? That went okay. And I wound up, they hired me on my birthday. That was June, so in the end, June 15th, 2011. First day in Singapore, I land and I go to the hotel, and I look up a ranking of Singapore's best hawker centers. I had written a paper on hawker centers. I knew a fair bit about them. I'd written a 15-page paper on hawker centers in college. So Old Airport Road was the consensus Singapore's best hawker center. So I went there on day one. I was confronted with Albert Street prawn noodle, and I thought that was great. And I was confronted with rojak, Chinese variety. Had no idea what that was. I thought that was great. I was confronted with Hokkien mee and char kway teow and everything. But the sense that despite eating alone in this, surrounded by people who are eating with friends and family, I never felt lonely. Never once. And I'm still not quite sure how that's possible. But I do not feel lonely in hawker centers.